I saw Terence ploughing his field today, Thomas told Bertie excitedly. Bertie scoffed. You see that old fuddy-duddy every day. So, replied Thomas, I see you every day too. That's not what I mean, huffed Bertie. You see the same sights all the time. Don't you get bored? I always see exciting new things when I drive through town. Thomas was offended. I like what I see along my line, even if it is always the same, he retorted. Thomas huffed out of the station, leaving an annoyed Bertie behind. Silly tank engine, pouted Bertie. I know I see more exciting things than him. As Bertie drove through the town, he kept his eyes peeled for something new. It was a rather quiet day, and even Bertie had to admit there was nothing exciting to be found. He passed a statue of a lion that had just been delivered to the town square. Oh, that's not very exciting, he sighed. Unless... Bertie chuckled to himself as a devious idea came to mind. When the two friends next met, Bertie feigned excitement. You'll never guess what's in the town square. People, replied Thomas uninterested. Even better, continued Bertie. It's a lion. It had a long brown mane and huge teeth. Thomas thought it sounded thrilling, but he wasn't about to tell that to Bertie. Oh, well, he stammered. I much prefer the sheepdog I see on my branch line. Thomas raced off without another word, while Bertie chuckled victoriously. Silly old lion, Thomas muttered as he puffed along. If only I could see it, just once. Annie and Clarabelle rather hoped they'd never see it. At the station, Thomas saw one of the shopkeepers on the platform. Excuse me, sir, he asked, but have you seen the lion? Indeed I have, he replied. Look here. He turned his newspaper towards Thomas. There, on the front page, was a lion. Or rather, a lion statue. Thomas could hardly believe it. Oh, that Bertie, he fumed. He tricked me. Oh, chuckled the shopkeeper. Bertie's got a big imagination for such a small bus. He boarded Annie as Thomas ran around the train. A smirk spread across his face. Yes, he chuckled, but mine's bigger. The next morning, Bertie pulled into the station. Thomas was already there waiting. Thank goodness I have a chance to speak with you, he beamed. The shopkeeper told me he saw something extraordinary yesterday. He did? Oh yes, went on Thomas. There was a travelling circus. It had jugglers, clowns, mimes, even elephants. Oh, that, replied Bertie hastily. Of course I saw that. I just thought the lion was more exciting. Without another word, Bertie raced away, leaving a smug-looking Thomas behind. Bertie raced through the town, his eyes darting this way and that. A circus can't be hard to spot, he thought. So where is it? That afternoon, Thomas arrived at the station. To his surprise, Bertie was nowhere to be seen. That's odd, he thought. It's a rare thing for Bertie to be late. Just then, the station master walked up. Please go to the next station, he said. Bertie's in an accident. His passengers will be waiting for you. Now Thomas was worried. He raced down the line as quickly as he could. As he drew into the station, he saw Bertie in a ditch close by. The angry passengers stood on the platform. What happened to you? cried Thomas. Oh, I was so busy trying to find the circus, sighed Bertie, that I didn't look where I was going. I hit a pothole, got a flat tyre, and ended up down here. Oh dear, sighed Thomas. He felt very guilty. Then he saw Sir Topham Hatt. Thomas, he said sternly, I don't know why'd you come up with such a fib, but you've caused a great deal of trouble. You will take these passengers to the top station, then go back to your shed at once. Percy will take Annie and Clarabel for the rest of the day. Perhaps that will give you time to think about running your line honestly. Sir Topham Hatt walked away, leaving Thomas feeling very ashamed. A few days later, Bertie had been repaired and met Thomas at the station. I'm sorry for causing your accident, Thomas began. No, cut in Bertie, it's my fault. I shouldn't have lied to you about the lion. I'm sorry. Thomas smiled. Well, you were certainly right about one thing. What's that? Quizzed Bertie. Seeing the same things all the time can be boring, especially when all you can see is your shed door. The sight of terrace in his fields has never been so wonderful. And with a hearty chuckle, the two friends went back to work. Track maintenance is not the most glamorous job. The engines considered it slow, monotonous and dull. Fergus was the exception. He relished in helping the workmen replace old rails and ballast, finding it most satisfying. You can't do it right on the wrong rails, he'd say. Without this work, your treasured express couldn't run. The other engines rolled their eyes. If you asked them, Fergus was more than welcome to it. One evening, Fergus was preparing to take a maintenance train down Edward's line. Tracks between Lower Sudbury and Upper Brendan needed to be replaced. Workmen loaded their tools into a van, behind which Fergus coupled 2 trucks of ballast and a flatbed of new rails and sleepers. When all was ready, he pushed the train down the line. By the time they'd reached the station, a dense fog hung in the air. Fergus's lamp shone brightly, and the men set up lights to illuminate the sight. As they worked, Fergus's eyes wandered. The station was dark, and the crossing gates creaked gently. The low chuckle broke Fergus's trance. In front of the flatbed was a van. It bore a devious grin, and his eyes were fixed on him intently. Strange, he thought. I don't remember putting a van there. Fergus, you've left your tool van behind. Fergus glanced at the workman beside him. I did not, he insisted. It was right at the front of the train. It's not there now, replied the workman. Perhaps you should check this van. Fergus stopped short. The van was gone. We need our tools, rumbled the workman, losing his patience. Take us back to the yard at once. When they returned to Edward Station, they found Boko and the missing tool van. "It's not like you to leave trucks behind," remarked Boko. "I didn't leave it behind," Fergus protested. He stopped again. At the back of the goods shed sat the grinning van, shrouded in darkness. "Would you like me to take the maintenance train?" Boko offered. "You seem distracted." Fergus looked back to the shed. Once more, the van was gone. I'm fine," he insisted. "The fog must be playing tricks with my eyes. Anyhow, we must be off at once." With the tool van in tow, Fergus left the yard once more. For an engine known for his focus on the task at hand, his mind thought only of the strange van. He kept a watchful eye all the way up the line. Now that they were properly equipped, the men worked fast. They replaced the rails at Lower Sudbury and slowly worked their way along the hill towards Upper Brendam. All the while, Fergus was quiet. "Not to worry, old boy," comforted his driver. "We're all a bit forgetful sometimes." Fergus didn't hear his driver's words. He was squinting through the fog towards the head of the train. In front of the ballast trucks was a barely visible grin. There came a sudden rush of wind. Fergus shut his eyes as he braced the gale. "Watch out!" Fergus opened one eye to identify the source of the noise, only to find himself face to face with the van and its awful smirk. "I don't know who you are," Fergus bellowed, "but I've had a thought." Suddenly, Fergus was being pushed down the hill. His brakes screamed as he tried to hold the train, the sound mixing with the howling wind and the vile cackling of the van. Fergus shut his eyes, straining with all his might. With one last effort, he stopped at the bottom of the hill. He opened his eyes, and once again, the van was gone. By morning, the fog had cleared, and Boko arrived with the breakdown train. The workman spoke to Fergus. "That was some mighty wind. It blew one of the ballast trucks over and sent it toppling down the hill. The tool van must have rolled back and bumped you." "Wind can't blow a loaded truck off the rails," Fergus grunted. "And where is the other van?" "Fergus, we keep telling you, there was no other van except for the one for our tools. Now we must get this mess cleaned up." "I'll find that van and wipe the smug smirk off its face," grunted Fergus. "No one interrupts my work." "You're not likely to find it," Boko chuckled dryly, "for it doesn't exist." "Whatever do you mean?" "Railwaymen have always been superstitious about the number 13, explained Boko. "But that doesn't just apply to engines. When batches of wagons were built, the 13th was always treated with apprehension." "Superstitions are nothing but tish-tosh," huffed Fergus. Boko ignored him and continued. "I heard of a particularly unlucky van, supposedly the 13th in its batch. A misfortune certainly followed it. One night, an engine derailed while moving it to some old sidings. When the crew returned with a crane, the van had, vanished." "And?" Fergus urged. "Some say it was broken up," finished Boko, "while others swear it's a trickster, roaming the rails in the pursuit of mischief. When things go wrong without reason, it's likely the work of the 13th van. Many dismiss it, but you know what you saw." Fergus said nothing. As far-fetched as poltergeist seemed, he couldn't explain how the van moved and disappeared off its own accord. He continued his work with the maintenance crews, but was more focused and alert than ever before. He would never admit to believing in ghosts, but every foggy night he remains on guard, lest he receives a visit from the 13th van.
Any minute now.
Just gonna say it, he'll choose me, no contest.
You wish. Surely he'll choose a lovely painted engine like me.
Oh, please, you're both pathetic.
He'll choose me.
Rubbish! He chose you last time.
And he'll do it again. Not surprising. I am the best. Oh, here we
I'm
go.
the fastest, sorry, I needed an earful.
And I'm the strongest engine out of all of you. And
Is that
quite
right?
possibly the entire world.
Oh, good morning, everyone. Lovely day. Has Sir Tom arrived yet?
Well, you might as well have just missed him, Edward.
Don't tell me you'd think he'd choose you, Edward.
Oh, well, I mean, I would love to be chosen. I do miss going out. Maybe he'll give me a chance, you never know.
Well, Edward, I hate to rain on your parade, old friend, but Sir Topham Hatt only chooses engines who are truly capable of handling such important tasks.
Oh, I can handle pulling coaches, Gordon. I'm not that old.
Yes, but you are notably the weakest engine out of all of us.
Oh, well,
Now, I'm telling you this as a friend, and I hate to break it to you, Edward, but your express days are over. There's no easy way to say it.
Yes, he only chooses new and strong engines.
He also chooses engines who are not primarily goods engines, James.
I pull coaches too, Henry.
But he also chooses big engines.
Oh, what makes you so sure you can pull coaches anymore with your constant unfortunate mishaps? A plank of wood could pull trains faster than you.
Oh, did someone say the boss was on his way?
Oh,
Perhaps he'll choose a bright and cheerful engine like me to pull the first train instead of you depressing heaps of scrap metal.
please give
I
me
am
strength.
number one after all, and I basically do all the work around
No one
here anyway.
cares, Thomas. It'll never happen in your life.
You're the reason I get boiler egg, Thomas.
Oh, simply get a better boiler then, Henry. It's not my fault you can't be useful for anything in life.
Now you listen here, you... Silence! What's all the arguing about?
Sir, forgive them, sir. They don't know any better. Amateurs.
Stow it, Gordon.
Sorry, sir.
Edward, why are you sad?
Oh, I'm all right, sir. I'm just a bit tired is all.
It's a sign.
Quiet! Are you too tired to pull the first train of the day, Edward?
Me? Well, I'd be honored. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir.
That's a good engine. Driver, get Edward steamed up and ready to go.
Right, sir.
The rest of you stay here and wait further instructions.